John Breidenbach with the Ontario Area Chamber of Commerce. Excited to be out at the STOL event here in Ontario, and I'm caught up with one of the pilots, Jeff. It was nice to have dinner with you last night.
Yeah, that was great.
Montgomery Farms did a fantastic job. We played some cornhole and just had a good time. So, Jeff, you're from Eugene, Oregon, Springfield, Oregon. So why did you come over to Ontario for this competition?
You know, National STOL does a really good job. I mean, they really do. And when they said Ontario was coming, I was like, well, that's kind of my home. It's going to be my home competition, right? As close as they get to us. And I thought, well, if it's that close, we got to be here, you know. And I know you guys have a great airport here. We've been here before. There's been some other activities that we've talked about happening here, and I hope it does in the future. But them coming this close and us being able to have our families and everybody travel here to our home kind of track, you know, that'd be the term. It's super cool.
So it is one of the only in Oregon, correct?
Yeah, the National STOL does this one in Oregon. There's a couple smaller events, just a couple minutes from my house, but not this level. I mean, National STOL does just an amazing job at this level. So we all want to be here because these are all our friends. I mean, we see these guys at all these competitions. Pinedale was the last one that they did, which is not far from here. And it was just, I mean, you see all your buddies and then all their friends show up, and it's really like a family community that they've kind of become, really, you know, with the sponsors and everything. And
so when we were walking by, I noticed the big tires. The fat tires is what you guys call these?
Yeah, bush wheels. They've been known as, you know, in Alaska. They came out of Alaska, and they call them bush wheels because they're big and they float. So they float over things that you can't see. So it's really a safety insurance policy for us. Like if we land out on the gravel bars or even an off-airport landing we're not ready for, these things will absorb rocks and debris and things like they did in Alaska landing on the tundra.
So our grass runway. This is one of the reasons we put in a grass runway was for events like this. So you landed yesterday during practice. What are you thinking of the grass runway?
Oh, we love grass. It's just so much nicer to land. These tires are really expensive, believe it or not.
That's what I've heard.
And you land on pavement with them, which I do a lot, just without any other option. And you just wear them out faster. And so we love the grass, the dirt, you know, the dust we don't like as much, but the grass is so nice. I mean, it's like going to a city park for us. You know, you just want to lay in the nice grass, and really, I mean, it really is.
Well, that's what we love. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know you got to get ready to compete. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hope we can keep this going.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. And we love it when the town comes together and the local, especially with the local sponsorship stuff. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just the little things that kind of joins us to your community. You know, that we start seeing the places and that we go to the bars and the restaurants and the hotels. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? The economical impact, I think, is so positive for the city.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
So much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
John Breidenbach with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Hey, a few minutes ago we were visiting with Jeff about his plane and the STOL event and everything, and he pointed over here at this other plane and said, you got to talk to my buddy Kyle. And we said, Jeff, why don't you talk to your buddy Kyle for us and get us some insider information. So Jeff, would you like to introduce Kyle or have him introduce himself and kind of talk about this particular plane and what you do here?
Yeah, this is Kyle Bushman. We actually built my airplane. He's the mastermind behind mine, but I was telling you guys that I was fortunate enough to be with him when this thing became what it is. It's only about 2 months old, and we flew to Oshkosh in it, and I was like, hey, you got to talk to the boss because this airplane is amazing, and the story behind it is just unreal. So
the first thing I'd want to say, if I have a soapbox to stand on, is aviation is way more accessible than people realize. You feel like it's this abstract idea that, like, you see an airplane fly over, I ride in an airliner, but GA small airplanes like this are accessible to anyone. And the time it takes to get soloed, like if you wanted to go down to your local airport, come to Ontario and start flying with the club, it might be 10 to 20 hours of training before you're in the pattern above Ontario flying solo by yourself. And 10 to 20 hours, and people can make time in their life to get that done. And sometimes it takes a few months, sometimes the guys can do it in a few weeks. And so to get there is a lot easier than people realize. And then the freedom that we have with these airplanes, me and Jeff left Eugene, and it's freedom. Like, we get in the airplane and we fly and we get to see the mountains, and we're like, oh, look at this, the snow over Bachelor, and we do a few laps around Bachelor. We just have the ability to do whatever we want. But it's important to have small airports like Ontario, like this, and put on events to bring people out to see it, so guys like us can say, hey, we're a bunch of knuckleheads playing with ATVs just like everyone else, and it helps bring people in. And we really appreciate Ontario putting everything on for this. So
Yeah, so I was telling them about Backcountry Supercubs
Yep.
and how when you showed up to the events, everything kind of changed because this airplane was like crazy, out of the norm, experimental, obviously,
Yep.
but putting in numbers like it's a little airplane.
So yeah, this thing kind of like the airplane math. If you were to say, what is airplane math? Well, it needs to be light, it needs to be small, and it needs to have a lot of horsepower. Well, this is big, it's heavy, and it has a lot of horsepower. And it's like, it's a different way to get to the same answer. We all want to be able to take off and land short. This does it with its size. It's just large wings, spreads out the wing, large cabin, decreases the forces for pitch. The slats aerodynamically help us fly slower. The oversized flaps. I mean, all this stuff is like little drips of special sauce to make the airplane do what it does. And Bruce Reed at Backcountry Supercubs, he's the mastermind behind Backcountry Supercubs. He built this airplane. I helped him at the very end, kind of the final flight testing and getting all done at the end. But yeah, I mean, Bruce Reed, Backcountry Supercubs, this is a home run out of a parked airplane. It's my favorite by far.
So I asked Jeff about landing here on this grass runway.
Yep.
We're pretty proud of the fact that we have a grass runway.
Yep.
And part of it when we put it in was for events like this.
Yep.
So what are you thinking of our grass runway?
So absolutely. So one thing that like we talk about our freedom to go to any airport we want in the country. We're flying around, and us as pilots have the discretion to land anywhere. Well, one thing that our group looks for is grass runways. It's softer on our tires, it's more fun to land on, it's safer. And so when we're flying across the country, we see there's a grass runway, we're gonna land. We've been here for a STOL event, we get to know the community, we come back. And so that these things, it gives us a reason to stop somewhere. And a grass runway, like by far, is in the top 2 reasons to stop at an airport.
And cheap fuel.
And cheap fuel, yeah.
You know,
Reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
We've had that conversation a lot.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, how do we fix our fuel here?
Sure.
No,
Well, on behalf of the City of Ontario, the Chamber of Commerce, and it was wonderful having dinner with you guys last night, and thanks for bringing over this big bird.
Yeah.
And what time do you fly today, do you know?
So I think they're doing introductions or first takeoffs. I'm in the next group, so maybe 15 minutes.
Well, best of luck to you,
Yeah.
and we appreciate it. And Jeff, thank you so
Yeah,
much again.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Kyle. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for putting this on. We love it.
I'm kind of curious. I heard you guys talking during lineup about Kyle being from Oregon and winning this thing, and now you guys seem surprised by his score in that big airplane. He's over there looking at that airplane and talking with Kyle about a 4-seater versus a 2-seater and getting educated on the importance of a grass runway and how the pilots like grass and not asphalt. It's been great. Ryan, thank you. Thank your team, Karen, Tom, and everybody for bringing this to Ontario. We are thrilled. We hope it's a long time relationship.
Well, it's been absolutely through the roof, and we just appreciate it so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And
Thank
all
you.
your folks in the chamber. We can't wait to be back.
Thank
Great
you.
town.
Thank you very much.